Hello, Emma. Thanks for joining us at Positive Portugal Podcast. I met
Hi.
Emma about a year or so ago. And Emma, let's start by introducing. Tonight, we're going to talk about healing. But first, I like to ask guests here three questions. One of which is for you tonight. What was positive about your experience of moving to Portugal?
Okay, that's a good question. So for me, the first super positive thing that I have to say about moving is that I managed. I say managed because it was hard for me to move by myself to a different country. I had never done that before, and it was something that I really wanted to do. So it's been proven hard at the beginning and very rewarding at this point, 2 years in. That's
Okay.
one thing. Then Portuguese people are really kind, I find, very welcoming, and the weather is brilliant. In
Mm.
comparison to Barcelona, I think here the weather is a lot better. And we get rain, it's really dry somewhere else.
Yeah, we get seasons. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly in the rainy one now. Got a lot of rain in
Yeah,
central
it's raining
Portugal.
outside. Yeah.
So we'll kick off with this topic of healing. I know we've spoken about this a few times before. What constitutes and supports healing in your experience, Emma, for people who are seeking personal growth or transformation?
Mm, that's a good question. And I was actually not sometime this week, I think it was on Friday. I did a very short Instagram live about healing because it dawned on me like this last past Christmas of how fast healing is happening now, at least for me, right? And for me, it's about having the awareness of what's happening, of what's coming up, and then taking responsibility for how I'm feeling and doing something with that. So, for example, it was at home with my parents, spending Christmas with them. Things, when you go back home, at least for me, is like a regression in time. No, it's very easy to fall back into those patterns of how you relate to your parents. So something got triggered in me, and it was about me saying, "Oh, realizing I'm being triggered." Okay, putting a name to what was going on there inside of me, and then putting my hands on my heart after the experience, going out for a walk, and then saying, "Okay, Emma, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just, this is your inner child kicking and screaming. I love you. Everything is fine. You know, Mommy's 82. It has nothing to do with her. Just breathe." And then it went away.
Hmm.
That for me was a moment where that I wanted to share with my clients and stuff, of how we realize we are healing. So it's not that we're not being triggered anymore. It's about being able to get out of those triggers um, more quickly,
Hmm.
and not blaming others for how we're feeling.
Sure.
That's one part of healing. I'd say also, like we were talking the other day, about being in alignment with ourselves. The more we are in alignment with ourselves, the more we feel that we are in integrity and that we are healed. For
Mm.
me, healing is about getting rid of all the stuff that's not ours. Not that we're broken, because I don't like that. I
Mm.
don't think we're broken and we have to fix ourselves. I don't think that. I think it's rather returning to who we really are, in our essence, in our hearts.
Yeah.
That for me is the journey.
Cool. So for the listeners that don't know you, we're going to get to in a few moments. Emma's going to guide us in a meditation and a way for connecting to our resource of the heart. So I look forward to that in a few moments. But how do people access your work? I know that you run retreats. You're the founder of Thrive, the transformational retreat.
Mm.
And Emma we have a production company that's powering the podcast, and Emma sent me her video testimonials, and I had the pleasure of editing them together and seeing the beautiful place that you run those. So,
Yeah,
and the feedback from the participants was really, really inspirational and powerful.
it
So
was.
they had an amazing experience on that retreat. So would you first say something about the retreat, where it's held, and what people can expect, and when the next one is?
So I'm really excited about the retreats, because for me, making this retreat, or thinking about this retreat, was like a dream come true. I wanted to have the ideal retreat for me, the retreat that I'd go on to.
Mm,
And for me, it was a mixture of doing therapy, intense therapy, really doing the work, and also adding other elements that I thought would be really beautiful and that complement the healing, which is adding some joy, adding self-care, adding all the things that for me encompass just doing the work, right? It's not for, I'm a Gestalt therapist. My base, that's the training. But it's not just about doing the mental stuff. It's also about the food we eat. It's also about the life we live, the exercise we do, the place where we live, right? Everything makes who we are. So in this place where we holding the retreat is called Quinta Carvalhas, here in Portugal, in Casebel, which is near Santarém. And it's a beautiful restored luxury farm. It's absolutely incredibly beautiful. The grounds are stunning. It's got a meditation garden. It's got a pool. It's got 2 huge areas where you can do yoga or movement activities or dancing or just get together in big groups, which are stunning. And the rooms are also very beautiful. So all of that was something that I wanted to offer my clients, like a beautiful space, because we're beautiful people and we deserve that, like part of our soul being in a space where it can thrive. And then apart from doing the Gestalt, therapeutic sessions in a group, and individual sessions within the group, which is the work that they do with me, then they have horses in the farm. So we do equine therapy with each participant has a session of equine therapy individual. We also do art therapy to tap into our creativity and, enjoy, like, paint whatever you want, like little kids. Or not. I mean, last year there was an artist, so she was very good at painting, and we also do a session of yoga. So it's a very complete retreat, in my opinion, and the work that is done there is very deep.
So for those that don't know Gestalt, I'll invite you to say a little bit about that practice that you offer. The retreat is one thing that Emma does. She also does programs, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the one coming up in February, and also works with people one-to-one. We'll post the links of how to get in touch with Emma, and we've got some news of a promo for the Positive Portugal podcast listeners if you want to take up working with Emma in one of these ways. Shall I read now? What do you call this statement that you shared with me? It had a really nice name, these words.
The expert affirmation statement.
Lovely. Wonderful. So I have some of those that you shared over to me, and I'm just looking for those. I thought they were here. You sent it in Telegram. Yeah. I have it. So Emma, as a holistic transformational mental and emotional expert, I believe the body and the mind are interdependent. For almost a decade, I have taken my clients from overwhelm to alignment, anxiety to peace, and lost to connected, from fear to joy. I work with high achievers who are ready to commit to themselves and let go of what no longer serves them, embracing their true selves through self-responsibility self-love, and acceptance so they can thrive. Lovely. So, what is the work of Gestalt therapy like as somebody who comes to work with you, Emma? What could they experience? What's a typical session?
Well, Gestalt therapy is a humanistic approach to therapy. So my role as a Gestalt therapist is to accompany my client to find his or her own answers. There's the therapeutic relationship between myself and the client is very important. Meaning, I believe that what happens in therapy it's what's going to happen outside of therapy too. Like if, for example, the person has a problem with trusting, then that lack of trust is going to show in the session, right? And anything that can be practiced during session or that happens or develops in session can then be taken out into the real life. And Gestalt is based on 3 pillars: the here and the now, self-awareness, and self-responsibility. All of the pillars are just equally as important. I mean, here and the now means that this is what there is right now. Here, you and I talking, and whatever, this is what exists. The past is gone and the future is yet to come. That doesn't mean that we don't work with past trauma, for example, but we don't start the session or the relationship with you telling me everything that you remember since you were 2. No, it's whatever it is that's going on with you now. That's the most important, whatever it sizzles, that's what we're going to address. And that from this point, we will go for wherever that takes us. That's what it means, the here and the now. Awareness is about becoming aware of how it is that we're feeling, how it is that we're acting, how it is that we're contributing to what's happening in our lives. Many times we're not even aware of how we're feeling. Like we don't have the vocabulary, or we don't even, we just say, "How are you?" "I'm fine," or I'm okay. It's difficult for people to actually express how they're feeling. So we work with that as well. And we work with the body too, but breathing and becoming aware of the body. That's something that you know very well. The body is, everything is in the body, right? So accessing those spaces in our bodies that talk to us and being able to hold space for them is very important. And then the third part is self-responsibility, which is, okay, this is what's happening, or this is how I'm feeling, or this is the problem that I have with a certain person. Now, what can I do about this? And how am I contributing to what's going on? And taking our power back. Because if we don't take responsibility for how we feel, what we do, what's going on, then we're sitting around like victims, right? It's about what the other person is doing, or it's about what the society, is telling me to do, or it's about the world or whatever. And that keeps us like in a place of victimhood where we cannot do anything about that.
Yeah.
So, and for me, that's really important because I find that with clients that don't take their responsibility and are not willing to look at themselves, then there's no progress. It's very hard to make progress when you're not willing to look at yourself and how you are contributing to whatever is happening. Even if somebody, even if you're being the victim of someone's, what you call that? Even if somebody's hurting you, like on purpose, and so, but then there is, okay, that's happened. Imagine in a relationship. Lastly, it's your responsibility or your decision to do something with that, whether you stay or whether you go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And understanding what is it that's taken me to this place.
Yeah.
There's a lot now talking about narcissism, right?
Yeah.
Especially about narcissistic men,
Mm-hmm.
and the victims. I hate that story because a narcissistic personality can only do what it does with a certain type of person, one that doesn't have boundaries, one that doesn't have enough self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Then that works.
Yeah.
But if not, the narcissist goes somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather help the other side, become aware of what's going on with them so that they can stop and they can do something about the relationship. And so that doesn't continue in another one.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right.
So we were
So
talking the other day about that notion of healing, coming to somebody to be healed versus being ready to thrive, longing to do the work, to step in, step up for their life. And we have this meeting tonight to um, create a container of positivity potentially for this year with what you're offering this year in Portugal and in your work as one of the contributing speakers of this podcast. Would you be so kind to guide the listeners in a small practice now in the direction of healing, something that can root them in their body, get a sense of the work that you offer, Emma, and what's on these retreats and programs?
okay.
So I was thinking we could do like a short breathing exercise just to tune into our bodies. And now that we are, starting into the new year, where we all have goals and New Year resolutions, and sometimes they're more up here, the resolutions are what we want to achieve and not so much connected to what we really need or what is, what the body or heart is telling us. So let's do a short breathing exercise where we close our eyes and we take 3 deep breaths into our nose and out through our mouth. Let's continue breathing at your own rhythm, taking deep breaths into your nose and out through your nose. And as you breathe, take your breath into your heart. Maybe it can help you to put your hand over your heart and focus your attention on how your heart beats. Noticing how every time you breathe deeper, you can feel your heart more clearly. Notice if there's any tension in any part of your body, and if there is, just breathe into that. And allow the tension to release as you breathe out. And ask your heart, as you breathe into it, what do you need for 2024? Just breathe and listen. What do you need for 2024? Allow your heart to speak. What do you need for 2024? And just breathe. No judgment. Just breathe. And if you don't listen or hear anything, it doesn't matter. Just breathe. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. This is an exercise that is very powerful just to come to the present and to stop and listen to our bodies and to be in connection with ourselves. Also very useful when we are nervous or sometimes anxious. Just breathing and being in connection with our heart. Because by doing that, we're here, we're present, we're safe. Did anything come up to you, for you?
Space. I've just been creating this beautiful office space, and so I'm feeling a sense of space, and I look forward to and need places in nature and in my work with space around me. I feel that, and like Zen space, clean, clear space to create and to be.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So if you're listening to this with Emma, I encourage you, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, to type what would support you. What do you need this year for 2024? Because sometimes it's really lovely to read what others are feeding into and needing and calling in for their life. It can support us to hear others. So I really invite, if you're listening to this, if you followed the meditation, to put it in the comments below. That would be lovely to see everybody's.
Yeah, I would. And I encourage everyone just to sit for 5 minutes and breathe. You know, sometimes it's not a lot that we need to do. It's just a question of bringing ourselves back to here. And just sitting down for 5 minutes, breathing while you're having your coffee. You know, you sit and you breathe. Or you sit outside and you breathe. It's transformative, really. The breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned before how people can work with me.
Yeah, you were kind to offer the listeners of Positive Portugal Podcast. So we're going to have a promo code that people can use when they enroll on the retreat or the program that's going to be announced in February. So yeah, what's the program? The retreat we talked a little bit about. So maybe first, the retreat is 7 days, is it not? Sunday to Sunday.
Yeah, it starts on March the 3rd and it goes on to a 10th. Yeah. And yeah, everything is included in the price, which you can check out on the link.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually also a promotion right now if people register before January the 15th. I know it's tomorrow, but still, tomorrow included. There's a 500 euro discount for the whole program.
Mm-hmm.
And the 6-month program that I'm actually working on is still not finished, but I'm working on it, and I plan to launch it in February.
Mm-hmm.
This is rather than working with me on one-to-ones, which is what I've done up to now. My intention is to I'm creating a program where I'm including like the most important, I'd say like the pillars that are most important in this journey of growth. You know, after working with clients for almost a decade, there are certain things that I work with or we work with together, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all think we're very different, but really we're not. No, this is that's one of the things that I mostly like about the work that I do is it gives me an insight, or has given me this insight, that regardless of where people come from, deep down, you know, we're all the same. Our souls are the same, right? Our wounds are very similar. What we want, you know, we all want to be accepted, loved, respected. Basically, we all got to learn how to love, respect, and love ourselves, right? So anyway, so there are these common traits that we work on, you know, that I've decided to put together in a container that I can hold people throughout those stages.
How long is that program?
It's going to be 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
where we're going to talk, you know, touch on 6 different pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And, but of course, the 6 months, that doesn't mean that you start and you finish and you're done. It would be great, but you know, it takes longer, but it's an ongoing program with 6 pillars. That's
Okay.
the idea.
And if you work with Emma, I've been on your website, you do packages of one-to-one sessions. So
yes, I do that as well. Yeah.
And Emma's provided this code for the Positive Portugal podcast of positive 24 for 2024. If you're interested in the retreat, we'll put the link to Emma's website and the retreat in the comments below this video.
Yeah.
And you use positive 24, you'll get 300 euros off the price of the retreat. And when she's priced her program, you'll get a discount off the program. I don't know that you've defined that yet, what the
No, not yet.
discount would be. Not yet, but
Not yet.
thank you very much for doing that. That's awesome.
You're welcome. I'm happy to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share, or about your work, or what you're planning this year, or something you might want to say, one top tip for living a positive life in Portugal? We're in Portugal, but in general for 2024.
Be grateful. I find that gratitude is the door to abundance, and gratitude is also a way to retrain our minds to focus on what there is and not on the lack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we are able to do that, then because the brain tends to go to what's not working, like that's the default mode. It's because the brain is there to help solve problems, right? There's a problem, let's go solve it. You know, there's a bear coming to attack me, let's run away. But now we don't have bears around, and you know, and there are lots of things that are not actually, you know, that bad. There are very bad things happening, but you know what I mean.
We're lucky in many parts of the world that there are not.
Yeah, there are terrible things happening.
Yeah.
But even in the worst of circumstances, we can train our brains to focus on what there is and on the positive things. So it doesn't mean ignore what's not working. I'm not saying that. I'm saying put your attention on what you want to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes how we feel about things as well, right? Then we have more energy to focus on the stuff that's not working or to make the other stuff that we want to grow.
Mm-hmm. We can resource ourselves with an affirmation and confirmation of what's working, what's there, what's present, what's supporting us, what we're grateful for, rather than flipping straight to the negative and what needs to be fixed and what's not there. Great advice.
Very well put.
Thank you, Emma. Thanks for joining us. I look forward to doing our podcast soon. Emma and I are going to record that and it will go on the podcast. Emma's one of the first people I've invited. So thank you for saying yes. And thanks for joining us tonight and for offering a discount to the listeners. We'll put all the information in the comments and look out for Emma's podcast coming up in the next month. Thanks for joining us, Emma.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Boa noite.
Boa noite. Bye-bye.